I'm gonna show you guys how to set up respawning the player, as well as keeping track of how many lives he has, and then I'm gonna leave it up to you guys to do lab number 1, which is to draw the number of lives you have left on screen, as well as when you run out of lives to show the game over. Okay, so this is gonna be an extension on what we did for our homework, and I put a copy of the solution and SFML. So if you want to actually start from the same spot, you can copy these two, because that's where I'm going to start from as well. So I'm basically going to start off from this here. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make the player respawn when they die. I want to make it so that if you blow up, it's not an immediate game over. I actually just wanted to have the player be created again at the very start, in the middle of the screen again, every time he dies, without regard to how many lives he has or anything like that. So right now, if you have a homework, Eric, you can put it in Zool. Okay. Okay. So we are creating our player here. And then we are destroying our player whenever he blows up. So the issue is that this right here, this logic for where we're making the player, needs to happen multiple times. Because what I want to have happen is, I want it so that if I run into an asteroid, bam, it doesn't immediately go to game over, it just creates me again in the middle. All right? But the problem is I'm only ever creating the player once. So why don't we first start off with, let's disable the game over behavior. So I don't want the player to say, hey, it's game over right away. I'm just going to temporarily comment this behavior out so that even if I do die, I don't game over. So I blew up there right away. So there I am. So bam, I died, no game over. Instead, what I want to do is I want me to tell the game to respawn the player. So I'm going to call a function called respawn player, which I haven't written yet on the owner, because that's basically what I want to do. I want to respawn the player every time he collides with an asteroid. So if I go here and I go to game.h, I'm going to add a function here called respawn player. And this thing is going to live inside the game class, because this is the one class that I can be guaranteed exists no matter how many asteroids I blow up or how many players I have to respawn. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to implement him at the very bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do the same exact thing we're currently doing for respawning the player here. So I'm going to take all this code and I'm actually going to get rid of it from here. I'm going to cut it out and then put it in here instead. And I'm going to delete this part because I don't need to call game.addObject. I'm already inside the game right here. I can just call addObject right now. And then finally, inside my engine, I can just do game.respawn player, like so. By making those few changes, now what's happening is that I will create a new player every time I die. Because every time I die, I'm going to call respawn player here. So I run into one. Looks like it's respawning me. And if you guys can see, I'm actually colliding with an asteroid right now, so it's actually quite stuck. If I stop this from running right now, it's actually calling respawn player. And that's because when I spawn the player right away again, if I run into something, I'm going to run into an asteroid and try to make sure that I don't have any other asteroids there. So I respawn right in the beginning there, and I respawn again. But as soon as I respawn and there's an asteroid right in the middle, I'm basically stuck in this infinite loop where I'm constantly hitting an asteroid and blowing myself up and then creating another one. So how about this? Let's do a little bit of change this behavior. So instead of respawning myself immediately, why don't I put a little bit of a delay between respawns? Because I don't want to just die, respawn, die, respawn. Let's just give myself a couple of seconds in order to respawn. So what I can do is I can have a behavior kind of like how we did our cooldown here. That says time until respawn. It's going to be a member variable. And this is going to be the time it takes until we respawn the player. And I'm going to start this off. And I'm going to give you guys a copy of this too. If you guys aren't following, that's fine. So that you guys can do the lab. I'm going to start this off at 3 seconds. Let's make it 2. It's going to make it take 2 seconds to respawn. And then inside the update loop, I'm going to subtract dt from it. And then if time until respawn is less than or equal to 0, I'm going to call respawn player. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here. Actually, I don't want to do this. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to have respawn player just set time until respawn equal to 3. That's all it's going to do. And I'm going to put that logic inside here. Okay. One more piece I'm going to do is I don't want this thing to respawn. Like, watch what happens here. So I'm going to have this thing start off at 2. I'm going to make this thing 2 as well. And it's going to mean that I'm going to start the game. It's going to take 2 seconds for me to spawn the player. Here's my player. Whoa, what's happening over there?
That's normal.
You guys see what's happening here? You guys see a problem at all?
Constantly respawning.
It's constantly respawning.
Every 2 seconds.
Well, it's not every 2 seconds. The problem is this logic here says to respawn the player as long as this is less than or equal to 0. This number here is getting decreased all the time. So even if it's like -1, I'm still decreasing it. As soon as it's -1, it keeps respawning the player. So what I need to do is I need to make this thing only do the logic if it's greater than 0. So as long as I have respawn time remaining, that's when I want to do this behavior. Okay. Yeah.
Wait, can you shoot when you have all those?
Yeah, you can shoot when you have all those things. You want to see it?
Yeah.
What do you say, Vince?
I was gonna ask, is it then inside? Oh well, never mind. It's actually I know what it is. I was gonna ask, do you reset the respawn timer inside of the less than or?
You reset it here when you call respawn player.
Oh, okay.
All
so
you do
it's
is
already being reset.
As long as soon as you set this thing to something greater than 0, now that's how much time it is until it respawns you. If you don't have this, it basically is not getting reset ever. It's going down to 0 and it's going negative, and it's staying negative, which is why this thing basically keeps running. And because I have all these players here, they all shoot. They all can fire.
It's not broken at all.
Remember what I said about our collision routine being very slow if anything more than like 100 things are in there? Although you're seeing it right now. This is slow because it's trying to do collision detection for every bullet against every other bullet against every other player. So every bullet you see on screen is testing against every other bullet against every other player. Okay. Oh, I have no more asteroids though.
That's a lot.
All these are ships, and now nothing's blowing me up anymore, so I'm just getting
Infinite trips.
We got some weird bends going on
It's
somewhere.
awesome. It's like the secret
Oh my
Oh,
god.
Lord.
Are you doing the multi-shot too?
This
What
is
if-
the multi-shot.
what
I
if
think
this is the- Oh my
The game's
God,
like
it's
broken.
snowing.
Would you ever change it to check the area if it's safe to
This is the old team.
respond?
No, we're going to do that next.
Oh.
So this is a problem because you guys might have actually, well, this is a problem because it's, now that you guys have seen what it looks like when you just let it respawn. This is a problem because even when I spawn, there's a chance that I could spawn right into another asteroid and blow up immediately again. So if I just, let's see if I can time it right. There's actually still a chance that it might not be super common, but if I blow up these asteroids and make more asteroids show up. So I'm going to spawn right on top of another one. Let's see. And you can actually still blow up because we don't have an invulnerability time, right? So a lot of games like this, these shoot 'em ups or even asteroids, has like this period of time where you spawn and you can't be blown up by anything else, right? So we're going to get into that too. So see how I just blew up again immediately and I keep dying again? So we can solve that. So the way we're going to solve that is we're going to say, hey, the player is going to have a time that he's going to ignore collisions with asteroids, right? Oh. That's going to be Latin. You guys are going to do that. So I'm going to show you guys how to do the number of lives remaining. Because I only want to be able to respawn 3 times, so I'm going to leave the rest up to you. So if right now it's unlimited number of respawns, right? I die, I respawn, I die, I respawn. That's great. Instead, what I want to do is now I want to track how many times I've respawned. And I don't want to respawn you anymore if you've run out of lives. Very simple idea. In fact, the idea is just to have a member variable that has lives remaining, right? And I'm just going to go into the constructor here, and I'm going to initialize this to be 3. Seems like a good number. And then every time I respawn the player, I'm going to subtract 1 from it. And so, oh, maybe I should start off at 4 because I actually use a life to respawn, right? And then when I go to respawn the player, what I want to do first is if the lives remaining is greater than 0, that's when I want to do this. Okay. So in this case here, I'm putting a condition on whether I actually set this respawn time or not, which means that I only respawn if my lives remaining is greater than 0. And then if I do, I subtract 1 from it and I keep going. So here's 1. I should have 3 lives remaining because I used 1. I should have 2 lives remaining now. Can't seem to hit an asteroid. I should have 1 life remaining. And I should have, after this, I shouldn't respawn anymore. Okay. So that's it. The game is over. Okay. So here's what I want you guys to do. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this whole thing. And I'm going to copy it into Zool over the, you know what, I'm going to make a copy of this into the, I'm going to put this into a new folder called Week 8 Lab. Oops, that's not what I want. What am I in right now? I just want to make sure I'm in the right thing. Oh, I'm in the Week 7? Yeah, that is the right thing, sorry. Wait for it to be done copying, please. All right. Someone didn't wait. That's weird. Okay, here we go. All right, so here's what I want you guys to do. Take this Week 8 lab and copy it to your desktop. And I want you guys to do the lives problem, which is I want you guys to draw the number of lives you have remaining on screen as little tiny ships. Okay. And then I want you, so that when you run out of lives, I want you to show the game over on screen. All right? So it should look something like this. And then when you die, it uses a life. Okay? Any questions? All right.